Hey everybody, how's it going? I hope you're all having a lovely day. I'm not. I'm being audited by the state of New York. Yay! So this is not something that I'm worried about from a facts or numbers standpoint because of how I conduct business. I actually have a video on this from about 7 or 8 years ago. You may not recognize the gentleman in the video due to the color of the hair or just how much more of it there was back before. I spent an additional 7 years dealing with the city's garbage. But I have a name tag here that says, "Hi, I'm Lewis. We collect tax even if you pay cash. So fuck off with that if I pay cash shit." What I'm referring to here is this common practice that people have, and they never do this at Walmart or Walgreens or Trader Joe's or Best Buy, but they'll do it at small businesses, which is bullshit. Which is go, "Hey, if I pay cash, there's no tax, right? Oh, come on. Oh, okay, if I have to pay tax, even if I pay cash, I'm going somewhere else." I've always hated this shit. I despised it. And at one point, I actually wore this name tag because this is something that businesses or business owners that lack confidence or that fold under peer pressure may be a little bit more vulnerable to. They'll just look at someone after getting abused and go, "Okay, sir, I'll risk going to jail just so that you can save $5 on your iPhone repair," which is absolute bullshit. You don't even save any money on this. They save money at the expense of you potentially going to prison. I've always thought it was ridiculous. And when I did this video, I actually had just gotten a 1-star review, which I wish I had included in the video, from someone who was pissed off that I didn't take off the sales tax just because they offered to pay cash. They said if I had known this, I would have went somewhere else. So I wound up calling him back after he left a 1-star review and saying, "Hey, you just left a review with your first name and your last name on this social media profile, easily referenced online by anyone. It's viewable to the public, admitting that you were trying to evade tax. Are you sure you want to do that?" He actually hung up on me and deleted the review immediately. It was hysterical, and I wish I had screenshotted it. My point here is we've never run this business in a manner where we look to avoid paying taxes or we look to hide stuff, because I know the profile that this business has, and I knew the profile that it was going to have as I continue to do these YouTube videos, as I continue to fight to right to repair and do all the things that I do. I know that people are going to want to look through every little thing, nook and cranny, so it's just not worth it to me to have the stress of actually doing under-the-table transactions. So when it comes to numbers and laws, I'm not worried about that. What I do fear is this being a, how to put this, New York-style audit. So when I sell laptops. I used to sell laptops at this business. When people would recycle them in our store, or when someone would say you can keep it, or when someone would just leave it here. So in 2017, we tell them what the repair price is, they don't get back to us. 2018, I call an email. 2019, I text them. 2020, I leave voicemails. 2021, I throw the shit away and then eventually refurbish it for the window. Now, there is a law in New York where if you buy a device from a customer, you need to enter it in the Leads Online database. I don't do that because I don't buy devices from customers who walk into the store saying, "We want to sell this to you," because most of those things are stolen. So I don't buy anything. I do keep records that show, here's where this computer came from. Here's me calling them. Here's me leaving them voicemails. Here's me texting them to try to get them to pick up. And here's the contract they signed when they came to the store saying that if they don't get back to us in 45 days, that it is now ours. They don't care about any of that. And we wound up getting fined for it. When I called the city and tried to get a straight answer on how to obey this law, they could not tell me. 6 months later, they have not responded to certified mail, normal mail, email, or phone calls. And you can show up in person due to COVID. It's actually one of the last things in the city that hasn't fully opened up yet. Very convenient. When it comes to licensing, I actually pay to have all the proper licenses to be in business here. In spite of the fact that I pay to have these licenses, the city just kind of registered that I didn't have it. So they sent me this notice saying that I would not be able to do business anymore unless I renewed it. I could not use their online service to renew it because I had already used up my renewal code to renew my license that they did not process. I tried for a year to get this fixed, and it didn't get fixed until I did a video at the point that they said I would no longer be allowed to do business on a channel with 1.6 million subscribers until it was finally fixed. It's always something. It's always something. And it's not that I didn't renew my license. It's not that I didn't have a record for where the computer came from. It's that you have a very, 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 very specific way of filing things and a very specific way of interpreting laws that you're not actually willing to explain to your citizens, that tends to always wind up with the same outcome, which is, screwing Louis Rossmann. So that has me scared shitless, not my actual records. And it's one of those things where you're probably going to see me utilizing my travel channel a lot more recently. You may have thought that this other YouTube channel that I had that I'll link down below was a border repair channel. It's actually kind of a travel channel and very soon to become a full-time travel channel. It's one of these just like death by 1,000 cuts things, like rent doesn't go down in spite of business going down, city or state constantly messing with you. I was just about to finish shredding this today. It was a letter from my insurance provider saying that my rates were going to be going up considerably, over 4 figures up in New York for my next renewal. Like, yay. And a lot of you have always asked, like, why don't you just leave? Why don't you go somewhere else? And one of my dreams was always to build up a mail-in business, mail-in income, so that I could go somewhere else. Because if you don't have mail-in business and you move somewhere else, you may be starting fresh with zero. You never know if it's going to go up. But what I've started doing since 2013 is building up mail-in business so that someday I wouldn't be here. And a lot of people have asked, why don't I just leave? One of the reasons that I've given on many occasions is that the people that work at this place have helped me immensely to build a world-class company. When you search for MacBook repair in a Google Maps of anywhere in a 30-mile radius, we are the best rated. And there's a reason for that. It's because the people that work out there are some of the best people in this business in the world. And I truly mean that. I'm not just blowing smoke up their ass. This is a difficult company to work for, and they wouldn't be here if they weren't up to that standard. But they've done all that work, and some of them are not able to move to a new location. And this is kind of something that was instilled in me by my dad, because my dad had a really rough time when I was growing up. My mother was horribly mentally. It would scream at her, and she would scream at him until like 3 or 4 in the morning, every single day, just nonstop. And when I was a kid, I didn't really realize that there were kids that didn't have both parents. But when I was an adult, once I became an adult and I realized just how many kids don't have fathers, I went to him and I said, I've seen what causes people to want to leave. Why didn't you leave? I mean, you could have left when I was 6 or 8, and why'd you stick around for all of that? And I remember him saying, I didn't want to leave you behind. It's just not the right thing to leave you behind. I would have gotten to see you on the weekends if I had done that 2 days a week, and I wanted to be there 7 days a week. I wanted to be a full-time father. You earned that. You deserve that. And obviously, the people out there are not my children. I'm not trying to make that analogy. But one of the things that my dad instilled in me is that if people are loyal to you, that you should be loyal to them. And to tell people that helped me build a world-class business, I'm leaving because of aggravating inconveniences dealing with city government or dealing with economic issues and whatnot, I feel like that would be shortchanging people who have given me their 110% of their effort. But it's getting tempting. It's just, it's one of these like death by 1,000 cuts things. Like it's always something, it's always something, it's always something. And I'm very curious to see how this goes. If this is just one of those things where they go through my records and go through everything and say, okay, here's where you didn't obey, here's where you did obey, here's where you made a mistake, or, oh, there's no mistakes at all. Okay, if it's something normal, then fine. If it's one of those things where they just come up with some asinine misinterpretation of the law that they're not even able to explain to me so that they can find me out the ass, then, yeah, check out the travel channel down below. Again, I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to hope for the best. Perhaps the person that I'm dealing with is someone who cares about accuracy, who cares about their job, who cares about people, who cares about business, who cares about accuracy, who's smart, who's good at going through everything, and things will go well. Or maybe it'll be the exact opposite. I don't know. I do think that this would be the 1,000th cut, though. How this goes would be the 1,000th cut. So I'm very curious. I'm very lucky that from the very beginning that I chose to have a CPA work with me on my records, even when I was doing business as just one person, to ensure that everything was kept prim and proper, who's advised me every step of the way on how I should be doing my record keeping, how I should be doing my banking and reporting, and he is going to be helping me through this process. I'm very curious to see how it goes, and I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to be optimistic in spite of every other experience that I have had dealing with this state. But I'm also going to be using my travel channel a bit in the coming weeks. I'll link it down below. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. And wish me luck. I'm going to need it.